There might be a couple of people who are late, but we also need to be cautious with timing. Yeah, okay. I think everybody found places. That's a good sign. So hi everyone. First of all, I'm very happy that so I will talk less, meaning that you will talk more. The session will be more interactive, and today in the morning I was redoing my presentation completely. So let's see how it works. But the session today is actually not about one story, it's about many stories. It's about your stories. Basically, we will see how to shape your story, what it means, the story, what makes it strong, what you need to take into consideration, and we will try it out. Yeah, so it's very practical session. Please don't stay shy, try out, even if it doesn't work, and there won't be anything as rocket science, right? Everything will be very easy to follow and to try out. So let me shortly introduce myself. All my professional life, more or less, I was building the stories of brands. Is it my hair, right, that is doing this better? Okay, that's a problem when you have hair. Like this? Yeah, so all my career I was building stories for brands, for companies, for C-level people, and ultimately also for the people. I was taking positions as a marketer, as a brand lead. What I'm doing also besides working for marketing and brand, I love doing some volunteering, performances. I love tennis, and also lived in 3 countries. First in Russia, in Moscow, then moved to Germany, lived in Düsseldorf, and then ultimately I came here in Madrid. Very happy about it. In Madrid, we have launched Med Marketing Club. It's a club for marketers where we exchange cases and try to find out how to develop, especially in the time of AI when everything is developing so fast, and as a marketer you need to catch up. So maybe one thing about myself is that I try to find the story everywhere. For me, the story is not only your work, your position, or your current project. Story is actually what's around you. Yeah, so performances, volunteering, tennis, it could be all part of your story, and we will see later how it works. So what we're talking about today, we will look at value proposition and the storytelling, what makes the story and value proposition strong. We will try to understand the audience. Then we will look at the competitive sweet spot and find it. We will also understand what it means to be relevant in the future. And then we will create together the value proposition for each of you. In the end, if we have time, we also can talk a bit and exchange. So before we go to the heavy theoretical part, let's look what's happening today in the audience. Raise your hand if you have a product or service that you are actively positioning right now. Okay, quite some people. And please raise your hand if you have done already something to tell your story. It can be a personal brand story, I don't know, social media, offline, speakers, LinkedIn, Instagram. Nice. Okay, so I see that it's a very active audience. That's good to work with. And now let's look at these 2 questions. So this is a question that many companies ask, especially if you're just starting your business, right? You're a founder, you're a startup. You want to understand, should I now invest money in the performance marketing, or do I actually need to build my value proposition and tell my story first? So if I'm honest and talking more on the personal level, I would say it's not always needed to tell your story. Telling your story means that you need to be loud about it, that you need to be open about it. It means that people will come with questions. And if you feel comfortable, for example, connected to the company where you work, you want to work there 20 more years, it's possible that you actually don't need to work on your value proposition, that where you are right now already works, yeah? So also to be clear, it does not mean that everybody needs immediately to build 100 personal brands and stories, But there are situations when personal brand or your story is very important. So the first situation is when your product or your service is connected to who you are. Yeah. So imagine you sell the consulting or you sell the product that you do with your hands. So it's very connected to your expertise, and if people don't know you, if they don't understand how you act, they would never choose you. The second situation is when, and maybe it's actually something what you would say, yeah, it's about me. If you work in one company for many years, and you think that there will be another situation when there is a restructuring, or there is a situation when they may lay off people, or you just don't like what you're doing anymore. So for you, you need to build your story that it survives even when the company where you work doesn't survive. And the third situation is actually what happens now a lot. I even talked now to before the event with some participants here, is when you build your portfolio career. So it's not that you have just one job, you're going to do multiple roles. And for example, sometimes it's difficult to understand why a product manager also is a career coach, or why a founder is doing Pilates practices. But in reality, that's what's happening. And if you have a very strong story behind it, if you can connect your stories behind everything what you're doing, it makes your brand even stronger, because people can come to you not only for one thing, but for multiple. So we will start immediately with one exercise, and for this exercise I want to feel you a little bit like uncomfortable and connect with the person in the room whom you see today for the first time. So you never talk to this person. You will have 5 minutes. Let me explain first the rules. You will have 5 minutes to research the person in any kind of network where you want. It can be LinkedIn, you can use Perplexity, you can just Google the person, so you will have the name, right? So the person needs to tell you the name, surname, don't tell where your money lies or keys, so that's not important today, only name and surname, and then for 5 minutes you search information about this person. Then, next 3 minutes, you tell each other what you have found, but basically 2 sentences, yeah? I know that you are the founder who is doing IT projects and now is also having like practice in Pilates, yeah? So everything what you can find in 1-2 sentences. And then we will exchange. Ready? So don't change your places. You will then come back to them. Don't be afraid. Yeah, find the, maybe you can just turn. If you turn, maybe you already find the person whom you see for the first time, yeah? So maybe you just can turn like this, yeah? Yeah? Everybody has a couple, yeah? So guys, 5 minutes to find your couple. You okay, look, I have a couple for you, Dennis. So you work in a couple, and then you work with me, because I never heard with you. Yeah? So guys, 5 minutes. Hey, hey. Can you hear me? So now slowly finish what you have found and come back to each other and tell what you have found. Yeah, you will have 3-4 minutes for that. Yeah, we meet back at 6. Okay, guys, 1 minute left. Okay, guys, let's slowly come back. I hope you had some time to discuss. Yeah? You can come back also to your places. Yeah? I see there are some people still in process, but we will have networking part especially for that. So let's come back. Okay, so first question, was it easy or difficult to find information about another person? Not so easy. Yeah? When you found information, what what was the things that you looked at? Was it like headlines? Was it more experience? What were the key things that you looked at? Yeah. What did you use? Was it LinkedIn, Google, Perplexity? LinkedIn mostly, yeah? Okay, now I need a couple volunteer who wants to say their experience, what they learned about each other. Okay, cool. So we have here a couple. So first question to you: when you heard your stories back, was it exactly how you would position yourselves or not? Yeah. Okay, that's very cool. So it was more basic. Yeah? Straight. And how was it for you? Okay. And Lena, maybe you can share what you heard about yourself. So what was the story? Yeah. Okay, so also location, yeah. And for you, what was the story that you heard? The like the years. I was like two English teachers. That's impossible. So that's what you heard, right? Yeah, and South World, yeah. Yeah, so it's very easy to find who is who. Was there any couple who actually had a different experience that you heard something what you would not think that's your story, something what surprised you? Maybe the thing that you would hide, but then actually it came up. Yeah? Ah, yeah. Yeah, very cool. We had also interesting experience with Marina. So Marina was my partner because we met before in the short networking, and Marina told me like a very cool story of like refugees, urban, everything. And then I opened LinkedIn, and what I saw was like financial consulting, all of that. So I would never guess, you know, if I don't go deeper, that the story is so big, and there are so many other things. All right, cool. So this is only the first exercise. Why it's important to look at it? Because basically 5 minutes of searching is normally this first and actually the most important story that people take away with them. So people don't read all our articles, all our future or previous speaker events. They don't go in our biography, right? They normally look at our headlines, bio, about, so something what is very easy to find, and that's what sticks to them. Yeah, of course, if they are very interested and you want to hire for life, they will do deeper. But remember that this first story is very important. That's why our value proposition, our story should be very clear from the first two sentences. Yeah? So we will go, of course, more deeper in the value proposition, but I wanted to show you that the story is a combination of several factors. It's not only what you say, it's also how you say it, your style, your energy, your approach, sometimes your choices that you are open about, your tone of voice. So that's very important to think that it's not only the sentence that you write, but also, for example, you comment under somebody's post, you like somebody's post. It's all part of your story. And what's interesting, when I was doing this slide today, because I was redoing my slides, I was thinking, okay, who are the people who are in my mind when I think about strong story? And then I came up with some people. And we can say, okay, some of them, I don't know, good, bad, doesn't matter. I immediately came up with these people because for me, their value proposition, their story is strong. So they immediately popped up in my head. I would think that if you think about people with strong stories, you will have your people. Yeah, and that's also important because normally the story comes from somewhere. It can be because we hear them, because we see them, because they do some great business, or as a tennis player who just came in a nice costume in one of the, I think it was Australian Open. So sometimes it's even not what you say, but how you look like when you say. And go into the value proposition, what it is and what it is not. So basically, there are many terms you would find openly, but I always say that value proposition answers to 3 questions. Who you help, what problem you solve, and why you should be chosen over alternatives. Value proposition is a very specific claim that you can back up. And here it's very important that it's not just the nice phrase with buzzwords. You can back up, you can prove it, yeah, with your actions, with your work, with your experience. So don't try just to make nice things, always say about what you can do. It's the reason someone wants to work with you, and it's concrete proposition that you test with real people, yeah? So if you just write something and then people ask you questions, remember that you need to answer them. It's definitely not all these beautiful phrases that you often can find on the websites. We provide comprehensive solutions for modern businesses. I think you saw some of them. It's also not a list of everything you can do, right? It's not that we provide this and that service. And it's also not a tagline or a slogan or a mission statement. Yes, it's connected, but value proposition is the core, answering to the questions who you help, which problem you solve, and why you should be chosen over the alternatives. So what makes value proposition strong? Again, there are only 3 things. The first one, it should meet a real customer need. Well, I say customer, but it can be also audience. It depends where you work and what you are doing. That's the common problem that happens in many companies or many people who start their business. They think that they know the problem. They think that oh, this will be the struggle that I create in the business for. But what actually we need to do, we need to ask the audience, yeah? Before you know the audience insight, you can't answer their need, yeah? So it's very important that the real need comes from the audience, not from you. The second thing is being different from alternatives. There is no such word as better, yeah? You need to have some proof points, you need to explain where you are different and why this different matters. So for this, you need to understand your market and competitors. And the third one, it should be relevant right now and tomorrow. Things change all the time, and in many companies, there is one value proposition, one story that was created 3 years ago, and they still try to, bring it there and don't understand why it doesn't work. So it's very important that you always think about tomorrow, what is changing, what are the trends. We will look at it in next slides, because you need to adjust your value proposition. Your value proposition is not a statement that you put like this Wi-Fi password on the wall. It's actually the story that you are building all the time. Yeah, you can adjust it, you can change. You don't need to put it for 2 or 3 years. Okay, so I was thinking how to talk about value proposition in the way that it's easy to follow and remember. And then I decided that there is nothing better than a fairy tale. Yeah, so the fairy tale that we all know, the story that we can relate to, and the character who would immediately bring some emotions to us. So I don't know why, but I came up with Snow White. And imagine the character who we will be talking about is not a Snow White. Can you guess who will be the character? No, the magic mirror. The magic mirror is our character who actually needs a very strong value proposition. Imagine, magic world, many magic objects, but for some reason, Snow White decides to use always the mirror, comes back to it, and mirror is struggling, yeah? So mirror needs to create its story. So let's look at the story of the magic mirror. What is the customer? Queens, princesses, noble character obsessed with statues, beauty and comparison, right? They constantly compare with each other. What is the customer insight here? Fear of losing importance, comparison with other princesses, anxiety about self-worth. Also, it's a very emotional world where you have a lot of uncertainty. What happens overall? Other magic objects, they can predict future, they can make you feel good, they can fly, so many things, right? And where is the mirror differentiator? Just one thing. It answers with absolute honesty. So if we form the value proposition of the mirror, it will be when kingdoms whisper lies and compliments lose meaning, The mirror alone reveals the truth exactly as it is. So this is this fairy tale example that gives you a sign that actually your story should be very short, understandable. There is no need to create many differentiators. There should be just one, but very clear. And it should answer to the real customer insight. But it's not so easy. So let's look at 3 points of making value proposition strong. First one is understanding your audience. 3 things that are inside of understanding the audience. The first one is needs. It's basic, right? So it's what the customer needs right now, why they require this service, why they want to buy this product. The second one is a bit more difficult. It's wants. Normally, customer doesn't even understand that they need it. It's something that they would love to have, but that's how you need to sell it to them. And the third one is fear. And fear is actually often the main driver for the decision. So fear, it can be that they don't want to waste budget, they don't want to fail project, they're looking for some alternatives for the business that they already have. They don't want to look bad internally, yeah? So fears drive decisions sometimes better than any wants or needs. And then out of it, you need to create the insight. Needs plus wants plus fears. One honest sentence about what this person is really struggling with. This is actually what your value proposition responds to. We come back to the mirror. Remember the primary customer. Queens, princesses, noble people. And what was the customer inside? Constant comparison to others, fear of losing importance, anxiety of self-worth, need for certainty in an emotional stable world. So here we have fears, needs, and wants. And that's crucial for answering the customer need. I have here example of myself. So what I did, because I'm doing brand fractional work, yeah? So I come to companies and tell them I can help you to tell your story, I can help you to build value proposition and to grow besides performance ads. But how I position it? So in short, my product that I'm offering is embedded brand leadership from strategy to execution. Not clear. Who is my ideal customer? Normally it's growing startups who already have product market fit, but now they're ready to grow organically. They are tired of paying performance ads, or maybe they grew up, but after some point they can't grow more, so they need to find other levers. Which needs they have? They need fast decisions, they need senior level thinking that is actually inside the company, so like feeling of inside the company, and they need someone hands-on. What they want to have growth narrative, which is far above we run ads. They want to have brand story that drives conversion and trust. And which fears they have? They already most likely had some agencies, consultants who made for them very beautiful presentations that don't work. And they have maybe a great brand story, nice brand narrative, but it does not help them to grow. So out of it, I create the customer insight. We want to grow, but our marketing feels fragmented, expensive, and too dependent on performance ads. We don't have one clear story to tell. This is the insight with which I am, as a marketer, as a brand leader, working. And this is exactly part of my pitch when I come to the companies and explain them how I can help. So now I think I talked already quite much in this part. I think it's time for you to work a little bit and to talk. So what I would like to ask you to do, think about your service, product, or if you work for the company, your customer of your company, yeah, so it's not necessarily that you need to have your own product. And think about the person you want to serve, your ideal customer. You can use AI to get help. I always say here that it's not mandatory, but it can help you to structure better. And is it easy to read this? Yeah? No, fine. This is the prompt It will be now on the screen. So you can now go to your Claude, ChatGPT, or any other AI, and try to type it down exactly as it is, or you can of course change it a bit. Yeah, I offer. So you put what you do. Two. So you put who they are, your audience, who are struggling with. Here you put the specific challenges that they are facing, and then you ask ChatGPT, map their needs, wants, and fears as a decision maker. Then write one inside sentence, 20 words maximum. We want to have a short statement that captures what they are really struggling with. Be specific. Let's have 6 minutes for that. I have here 7, but I think you're fast with 6. Yeah? Tell me if you need help. Yeah, so if it's B2B, then your customer is a company. Yeah. But also, if it's a company, in the company there is a decision maker. So think about their way of taking decisions. Because in the end, we all buy from, not from the companies, yeah? How's it? Are you ready? Okay, I see some nodding faces and some people who are very deep in their story, I guess, or in the customer insights. So I need two volunteers who want to share their insights. I see you. Yeah, I was sure that you would say yes. What's your name? Tell me. Eva. Maybe you very shortly explain your product first, and then you share the customer insight. So for the audience, it's clear what we're talking about. And the insight? Did it, did okay. Okay. How was it close or far away from what you would think about your customers? What for you was there any sentence, any phrase what you would say, "Oh, I take it with me. That's actually an insight that I didn't think about." Yeah. 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 It's actually very good because I have also heard this and wanted to say that for me this connection is an important thing. Why it's good to do this exercise sometimes? Because you when you work with some customers with the audience, your eyes are not fresh anymore. You're so much in this that you believe what you believed 2 years ago is still the same. You believe that their needs are like that, and once you put, okay, this is what I know about them in terms of wants, in terms of peers, you ask them some questions, then you put it all together, then AI can help you to bring some color to it, yeah, to look at it from a different angle. Is it about connection? Is it about who close? Did I forget something? Yeah, so it's important to do this exercise even if you believe that you know your customers really well, yeah, or like your audience. Anyone else wants to share? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. So again, when you work on your value proposition, on your offering, one thing that you constantly come back to is your customer, your audience, and their needs that are changing. Yeah, and again, it's not just needs; it's also what they might need that's already in your head but not still there. So you need to explain it to them, and it might be fears, something what happened, AI happened, economical change. Yeah, you see something in the news, you constantly need to be first to catch it and to come to them with the offering. Yeah, not wait that they are so afraid, in need, or want something that they run away from you, or they never come to you, but you are proactively come knowing what are their needs, wants, and fears. Thank you for participants. Yeah, it's very cool to see real examples. So we're going to the second part, which is the competitive sweet spot. Here, actually, this is one thing that I believe in strongly, but I know that many founders don't really follow it, and I will explain why. So my belief is that you can't differentiate from the competitors if you don't know them, if you don't know with whom you compete. Same time, I know that many founders right now, they believe in their product, they work on it, and they're not looking what's going outside because they don't want to be biased by what's happening there. They don't want to think like, oh, there is already a product that is better than I do. Yeah, especially in AI. You're doing a language app, and then once you look around, you see that there are hundreds, thousands of other language apps. It's very easy to be discouraged and not to do your product at all. So my belief is that you need to understand your market, because that's how most likely you will find the gaps where they still don't act but the audience needs that. And you can also understand why customers already choose your competitors. Yeah, so again, connected to the needs. So how to find your competitors? Yeah, sometimes you start from something like you build your product and you're like, oh, but how do I even understand if these are my competitors or not? There are some very easy open things that we all do. Yeah, so we go to the websites, so we search in Google, we search in Perplexity. I actually recommend to look at profile of the people in LinkedIn. Yeah, so if you offer your personal service or product, so find people who offer similar things, read what they write about them in about, also see how the audience is engaging with them, especially with big profiles. Then also, this is my favorite, go offline, go to the industry events, go to the companies that offer exactly the same. IT consultancy, English classes, architecture, and pretend that you are a customer. Ask all possible stupid questions and see what are they offering you, and especially not what, but how. What they tell you in terms of benefits, yeah, how do they sell it? Yeah, it's very important to talk to salespeople, because that's where you understand what helps them to sell their product, if they're successful. If not, then maybe you don't need to go to them. And you need to talk to your audience and to the customers. Yeah, it's very important, again, not only understanding their needs, but for example, you know that there is a client who works with the agency. You came to this client already, well, it's not your client, it's potential client, already 5 times, and they said like, no, I love my English school XYZ. I will go to the school, I really love them. So instead of asking, well, maybe let's go to our school, ask what again they like about this school. Yeah, what are these benefits that they're given to the customer, and that make the customer choose the school or continue choosing the school. Yeah, same with another service. When you understand the market and you understand why the customers choose them, you focus on 3 dimensions, because otherwise you can lose a lot of time looking always at competitors and thinking how how bad your business is, right? It's not for that. Yeah, you need to understand, map out, but then focus on your thing. So basically, on these 3 things you need to focus on. Which outcome do they sell? That's why it's so important to talk to sales managers in the company. How do they justify their promises? Are there any case studies? Look into the reviews, yeah? look into the concrete proof points, because it's very easy to say a lot of buzzwords and pretend that you're doing a cool thing, but it's more difficult to confirm it with real examples. And for me, the third thing is the most important, what they clearly don't offer right now. Yeah, this not is the gap which potentially you can close. Maybe not, but try to find out, because that's how you can come up with the differentiator in your competitive sweet spot. So what is the competitive sweet spot? First, it's the market. What the market already offers. Yeah, you looked into the LinkedIn, you looked into the website, you went to one trade show, you have some information. Then you know your customer. You remember the exercise from that we just did? So you know the insight, you know what they really need, you know what they're afraid of. Remember the mirror, right? And you deliberately choose one thing that differentiates you from competition. Or you choose one thing that can close this gap that competition is not doing. And yeah, we're coming back to our mirror, of course. So do you remember what was the competitive sweet spot of the magic mirror? Now I'm starting to asking, you know, like yeah, exactly. So one differentiator that the mirror deliberately chose was it answers with absolute honesty, nothing else. And you see, you already remember it because it was easy to remember. Yeah, so your differentiator should not be something like, oh, I do also this and that and that, and when I do this, I do it. So it should be very short. Yeah? Basically, for me, it's very difficult to differentiate because in brand and in marketing, there is so much already that every time when you come, you need to be quickly in terms of like, you catch it or not. So one thing that I always say that, well, I have an executive experience, but I work hands-on as your junior, you know? So one thing that they understand that I can answer to their messages late in the evening, I can do work hands-on, but same time my brain works already in another level, yeah? So choose one thing and try it out, yeah? Test, because it's not that you always need to bring it up. Sometimes I say I'm not as expensive as German brand leaders. That's what I also always say. So choose your narrative in the right moment. That's important. Yeah, so now I want you to do some work again because we're building a story, right? What you already have done with your insight, keep it in your AI because we will need it. And now you can use the same dialogue, yeah? Let's shape what you deliberately choose to do differently. This is quite a long prompt, so you can decide to make it shorter. It's also fine. You need to think about your approach, yeah? Your personal approach of your business, approach of your company. And here is the prompt that I suggest to use. I deliberately approach tasks in industry. You add your industry differently. While most players, and you write what they normally do, you write what you do differently. And then you ask AI, frame a clear differentiator that sounds credible, specific, and hard to copy. Based on this frame, suggest phrases, vocabulary that reinforce this differentiator consistently, not more than 5 examples. Let's have again 6 minutes for this. And remember, this is an exercise that you can, of course, continue later, yeah? So for now, we just try it out. Okay, let's slowly continue to the room, to the presentation. Before I ask someone to share, was it easy to define your differentiator or difficult? Yeah? What was it for someone easy? Just like, oh, my differentiator is clear. Yeah? I see that for someone it was easy. Normally, this is one of the most difficult parts of the value proposition because you talk to your customers in some way, you understand the needs, you also understand your product, right? But once it goes to what actually different I'm doing, that's often difficult to shape, yeah, to phrase. You sometimes start to put so much into it that the end customer can't understand, yeah? And it can be even, well, in the question, why should people, like companies, hire you, for example, that it's difficult to explain. And yeah, not always you need to differentiate. It's not that we're all completely different. It's fine to be, let's say, similar to other services, products in some ways, but there should be something why the customer would say, oh, I would choose them for that, yeah? It might be the differentiator not even in the product itself, but in the way, yeah, in the approach, faster, well, cheaper is also a bit of a differentiator. I don't recommend it to use it a lot, but in a way it's a differentiator. Okay, let's listen to one or two volunteers. Gabriela? Yeah. 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 Yeah, yeah. That's true. It's always, well, it's often a quality of how you do things, not the thing itself. Yeah. In my case, it also that, let's say, I'm direct as a person, and sometimes I thought, oh, I'm too direct. But now I see that some companies come to me because they want to have this direct communication and not going way around. Yeah. Can you share your example then? Yeah. 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 That's cool. How do you think you can use it? So, when you, for example, go to the work interviews or you pitch your service, what would be one thing that you choose from? Because there are a couple of narratives, right? There were like alignment, regional gap, closing the regional gap. Which one thing will you choose? Yeah, I, yeah. I think in sales and business development environment, it's very important that you don't just work in the field, but you actually are the person who can create the structure, the strategy, define the territories, the directions, and then act on it. Yeah, very cool. Someone else wants to share, or we continue? Okay, good. But please take your examples because we will then build on it. So the third part is the future relevance. You remember we talk about our story not only for today but also for tomorrow. It's important to understand at least if your story will work in how your story can work in 12 months. I need to say that when I was putting this 12, I was like, is it 12 or now 1 or 3? You know, everything is changing so fast that maybe your story should be like changing faster. But I think even if the world is going crazy, AIs, everything, but the story is built on your expertise, right? On what you offered for many years, and maybe the only thing that you need to do is to shape the wording or to shape the context a little bit. So I would not recommend to change completely the story every 3 months. It means that you are not sure about your expertise. You are not sure about what you offer, how you differentiate, yeah? So stick to your core. If you know that you are the best in connecting strategic decisions with sales, it will be important, doesn't matter what, yeah? If you know that in your English school you are the only who are offering, I don't know, offline experience better than anyone else, better is a bad word, but keep it, yeah? So even if circumstances are changing, keep the core and just shape it looking at what happens, yeah? So, and what happens, you need to consider 3 things. Signals, it can be some early indicators that something is changing in the industry, right? You look at trends, you look at language is different. Sometimes you see it in LinkedIn posts, sometimes you see it in the news. The second one is shifts. This is bigger. Yeah, behavioral shifts, people started using ChatGPT instead of Google, yeah? This is a shift. Or people in Madrid are using electric cars instead of cars that they used before. Or strategic moves. That already happens here with your customers. So it means that your customers started to behave differently and you need to adjust for that and you need to test it, yeah? Before you change something in your story, go here and test it with your customers. Do interviews, ask them, suggest them to try it out if it's different service or different way of product, yeah? Don't change the story immediately. And yeah, we come back to our mirror. So what can go wrong in the magical world? Yeah, it's so stable. No, actually it is not, because princesses can go to psychologists. They don't need the mirror anymore, right? That tells them the truth. There can be a move of canceling all magic overall, right? So does not feel natural, doesn't feel sustainable. Bam, and mirror is not there. Or there can be an AI, yeah? You can ask ChatGPT and say, be honest with me. I want to know, am I the most beautiful in the world, yeah? So imagine how many troubles can be in the future of the magic mirror. I did here exercise for myself. So, and this is a real exercise that I'm doing sometimes. How I look at it. I define customer needs, which will be in the future. Then I kind of like shape what this need means, and then I put what will be the future importance. Will it be bigger or will it be smaller? So the first, which we all see, it's a lot of AI in marketing. The need that I see now with the customers, at least with whom I work, that they need to choose the right tools to cut costs, because there are so many tools, they don't want to use them, they don't know how to use them, they also don't want to pay for all the subscriptions, so they need someone who will already explore it and say, you need just this one, and how. I expect that it will be a very big future importance in the future. You see there are 3 pluses, it's difficult to read, but it's there. The second one is content creation, basically one of the biggest part what I'm doing in general for brand work. So the ask is hands-on content, videos, materials that work, I don't know, sales pitches, sales presentations. I believe that demand will be there in the future, but it will be so easy to produce, because with AI you can produce it easily, so I don't see a growth of importance there. That's why I put just 1+. Then the third one is connection to sales. What I see now is that it's much less, let's build the brand story, strategy, work 1 year on it, do a story that will work for our sales managers. Here, in the past, it was brand is here, sales are there. Now it's brand and sales are very much connected. So that's why I believe that it will grow. For brand, it will be very important to show return of investment. So it's not only the story you need to write, it's the sales results you need to showcase. And then positioning, the one thing what we were talking about, differentiator, how we position in the market that is so crowded. And it's about organic positioning, because everybody wants to cut costs, and performance ads work not always very well, because people are very they don't consume ads as much as they did in the past. So my prediction, and again it's your prediction, that ad costs will rise and there will be very fragmented attention. That's why positioning and brand story will be more and more important. So that's how I approach it, and here I won't ask you to do the same because it's a longer exercise, but I suggest that you do it when you have time at home. So we now go to the final part of value proposition. We actually will write value proposition. I normally use these two formats also for companies with whom I'm working, which are very easy and straightforward. The first one, I help who achieve outcome by how without common pain. Or the second one, this is more transformational, from frustrating state, where the customer, the company was, to desired state through your unique approach. And I have here 2 examples of myself. I help startups and scale-ups build consistent organic growth by brand strategy paired with fast execution without salary-heavy decks and burning their money. So basically, I connect to what we were discussing in the customer insight in differentiator. Or from unclear positioning and reactive marketing to a focused brand story and the growth plan you can execute through hands-on strategy, built to be used, not filed away. And of course, we have here our Miro's value proposition. We can't forget about Miro. So you remember we had this fairy tale story that was already very cool. We said, when kingdoms whisper lies and compliments lose meaning, the mirror alone reveals the truth exactly as it is. So now we have these forms that I just showed you, these two. I tried to write value proposition for the Miro. I don't know if Miro will use it or the fairy tale story works better, but I tried it out. Maybe Miro will become my customer in the end, right? I help queens and identity-seeking characters achieve clarity about their place in the world beyond confusion and rivalry by showing reality from all perspectives without softening. So, well, it's a bit boring. I actually like the first version. You also, when you form your value proposition, it can be any form that works for you, So these 2 forms, these are just easy to follow. And let's say always keep in mind that it's who, outcome, how, common pain. But you can write it in any form. The main thing is that it's clear first to you, and then basically to your audience, to your customer. But remembering that value proposition is not the headline. Also that it's a short story. In 1-2 sentences. So we go to the final exercise here, where I will suggest you to write your value proposition. You can use the same chat where you have written your insight and differentiator. And this is the prompt. Again, you can change it. I try to have it not too short, because then I want to show you how it can be in 2 formats. But I put some concrete things, 3 versions of each. Maximum 40 words per version, no jargon, no buzzwords. Let's try it out, and we will have, yeah, like around 8 minutes. Let's see where you are in like 7. I will ask you. Yeah, that's actually one thing that AI can encourage you a lot. So you can write no encouragement, don't be polite with me, so you can tell it which tone of voice you would prefer. Sometimes encouragement is good because that also helps you to believe in what you're offering, yeah? So it kind of your supporting partner, but it should not be too showing, oh wow, you have the best value proposition in the world, because, well, then everybody has, yeah? Well, I think let's have 2 minutes more and then discuss. See how everybody started to write faster, in this moment. Okay, let's try. Who are the bravest people here who want to share their value proposition with the group? It will stay within the group, I promise. And you have chance to adjust it. Please come in, come to the middle. Value proposition is a big thing, you know. You need a stage for it. If you want, you can put here. Read only your value proposition. Read the one that you like the most. Yeah. Difficult to maintain, yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. What was the beginning? Can you read the first part? This is not clear. So what if I am this SaaS startup? I don't understand what exactly you're offering. You know? Yeah. Maybe I would add, is it like, I don't know, digital channels? Is it like, so that it's a bit more concrete? Because otherwise I can think about everything I know, opening an offline shop, you know, so that it's broader. But I like the last part. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's much better because then it's clear. Yeah. Yeah, so that also shows a good example how sometimes by playing with AI, you can find good parts in different versions and then combine them. Most important that from one side there is a clear what, yeah, so what you're offering, not everything, and then from another side, that it gives you this gap that you're closing, yeah, without complexity and headcount. Yeah, that was good. Um, I help international B2B SaaS startups turn partner agreements into actual revenue, and then since I talk a lot points. It works. No, I think you're right. Once you are in this channels and partner programs, it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, yeah. So this is in the end not your LinkedIn about, right? This is the story behind on which then you build all your headlines for the website, about pitches and so on. Thank you for sharing. I think it's a very good example of how you can work with your context to create the value proposition. Someone else wants to share. Okay, good. Then exactly what we discussed right now. Value proposition is not the headline. It's your internal compass. It's your story that actually you know, you understand, you believe in, and then you bring it to everything what you are doing, and your well, partner, customer, audience understands it as well. So then, from this value proposition, you create all kind of narratives. Yeah, it can be a landing page, it can be LinkedIn headline, it can be one sentence speech, it can be even email signature, and you can play around with it. Yeah. So first thing, please be short. Yeah. It doesn't work when it's like long sentences. Nobody's reading this. Yeah. Be very concise and test them in different environments, and that's how you can see what works better. Sometimes you need to come back to your value proposition knowing that one of your headlines worked actually better. I have here a small bonus for you. So first one is about prompts that make you think and not just produce the content. And here maybe it's a good idea to do a photo, because this is something what you can try out. So once you have value proposition, you can ask AI to challenge you. Yeah. Here is how I describe what I do. Your description. Tell me 5 reasons why a potential client might choose a competitor instead of me. Yeah. So AI in this sense will play your like, I don't like what you're offering. Yeah. So, and again, you can ask, be direct, don't be polite, and all of that. Put some pressure. Yeah. Here's my value proposition. Why still vague? What would a skeptical person push back on? Or what is also good exercise, if you know one person, one customer who you would like to attract, but the person always says no, describe this person. Say, I have this person with this position who never chooses my services, and explain me why, so that AI plays a role of this customer. And then the third one is generate alternatives. Yeah, here's my value proposition. Rewrite it for 5 different audiences. Yeah, so because it's normally not that you have one same audience. Then the second bonus that I have here is coming back to the beginning. Yeah, remember that your story is not only your value proposition. It's good if you know what you're doing, how you differentiate, what is the insight, but it's also very important how you talk about it, which choices you do, what is the energy that you bring into it. Sometimes energy actually overperforms your value proposition. What is your, well, style, if it's important. And in this sense, I wanted to give you a very small kind of like game. There is a speech of a famous person. Maybe some of you know from whom the speech is. No. That would be too easy. Why I'm asking? Because in this speech, if you know the person, then you can recognize the person from the value proposition first, but then also from the way how you read it, the tone of voice, the structure. This is a tennis player. We have a guess. Yes, it's Roger Federer. And why I wanted to show you, because first he talks about how he approached tennis, right? That everybody thought that it's like effortless for him, but actually he put a lot of effort, just nobody could see him. And that, if you know how he plays, it's exactly what you see in his value proposition. Yeah, you see a very professional player who would never do things on the court, you know, like too emotional, but then he goes back and he puts a lot of work into it. And I also put here in green some things that kind of like how you can recognize his style, how you can recognize his tone of voice, his value proposition. Also, what's important, this is the famous speech that he gave to the students of Swiss university it was their graduation date. And his speech was very easy to digest. He did not use long sentences. He did not use a lot of Chinese terminology, yeah? So he was talking to students, and that's how he deliberately chose the way how he would say. Well, it would be better if we leave without listening to him, right? That's why I actually brought you another part of his speech, which also shows his value proposition, and it's in general a very good message that we all should take with us. Let's see if the video will work.
In tennis, perfection is impossible. In the 1,526 singles matches I played in my career, I won almost 80% of those matches. Now, I have a question for you. What percentage of points do you think I won those matches? Only 54%. In other words, even top-ranked tennis players win barely more than half of the points they play. When you lose every second point on average, you learn not to dwell on every shot. So here's why I'm telling you this. When you're playing a point, it has to be the most important thing in the world, and it is. But when it's behind you, it's behind you. And it's natural when you're down to doubt yourself and to feel sorry for yourself. But negative energy is wasted energy. You want to become a master at overcoming hard moments. That is, to me, the sign of a champion.
It's also good speech, right? It's also cool that in the end he said, for me it's a sign of the champion. And that's also a little bit of him, because he thinks about himself as a champion, but he brought it that champion is not the person who is winning all the time, right? But who is losing a lot, and then remembering this part about effortless, working a lot but nobody sees it, yeah? So this connection of personality, connection of the value proposition, style, yeah? Also, like you saw how his speech was, right? He asks questions, he was repeating a couple of words, yeah? So this all makes the story. That's why when you go to your customer, when you go to your audience, or I don't know, you just need someone to take a decision that you want, remember that it's often not what you're saying, but also how you say. It's a lot about your speech. It's a lot about the moment when you say it. Also, even like he could dress up as a tennis player, but he is dressed up as the audience, yeah? So it's a combination of many factors that we need to consider. So basically, coming back to the whole session today, I would say there are 5 things, only 5, that we all need to remember. First one, easy, value proposition answers 3 things: who you help, what problem you solve, and why you. Second, you need to know your customer, and you need to know their struggle. The insight comes from the combination of needs, wants, and fears. The third one, you can't differentiate from competition if you don't know your competitors. So you need to map the market, and you need to decide where you will stand. The fourth one, markets change, things happen, so you need to consider how your value proposition, your story will look like tomorrow. And the last one, but maybe the most important, is that your story is combination of your value proposition, style, energy, choices, whatever else, yeah, for you. And all of this matters. So thank you. If there are questions, I'm happy to answer. And if you want to connect with me later, today or later, I'm here. Maybe there are some questions. Yeah. Oh, that's the next session should be about testing. Well, testing happens from these headlines, things that we create from the value proposition. So the easiest way to test is actually landing page, yeah? Because that's how you see what is the reaction immediately on the page. Depends on your product. If it's not digital, then also the best test is immediately integrated into the sales pitch. Well, maybe it's not the long sales pitch, but this elevator sales pitch in 1 minute, and test it. And you can have in one day 5 calls, test 5 different value proposition and 5 pitches, and see which one actually got a better action. Yeah. I always say, because in the past people did a lot of A/B testing, changing one word. Oh, it was like a comma here. Oh, the color. Well, it all of course matters, but if we don't have much time, we want to act quickly. I suggest to bring in a value proposition much closer to your sales. So if it's digital product, it's landing page, Google Ads can be even, yeah. So everything what works on this lead generation journey. If it's more offline product, then it's sales pitch, conversations, and as I said, even on each trade show, yeah, you can play a role of a potential customer, but you can also pitch your services and see if someone comes back to you, yeah. So give everyone your QR code with different value proposition and see which value proposition won, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually also a good exercise to do with Claude. Claude works very well now with the keywords of LinkedIn summary. That at least what I read in the article, that it really helps you to be found more often by recruiters, customers. So try it, yeah. The summary in LinkedIn you can change almost every day. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But in general, about like if we talk about I know finding a job, I think this is completely another session because in AI with AI now it's so difficult to understand which story you need to tell, as it's a lot of AI search, machine learning, and but then also people look at some of the CVs, right? You need to catch both. Thank you for the comment. Any more comments? Also, maybe you completely disagree with everything what we discussed here and want to share. Yeah, please. Yeah. Yes. I would say it depends with whom you're talking. For some audiences, more your brain, more interesting you are to work with. Yeah. I will give you an example. There is a famous guy, Dobry, so the guy who is like in Silicon Valley. Yeah, I forgot. Daronchev. So he is founder from one side, but he's also doing yoga classes. I think he's writing the book. He's doing everything, and I think that actually builds his story because he's so much about, like not one thing, but seeing this world from different angles that it's attractive to come him for the consultation. Yeah, so as a personality, he's attractive. But there might be that you're IT engineer, and then when you have free time, you do yoga classes on Saturday, and you talk to another IT company who might be your partner. So would this information be beneficial for them? I'm not sure. Same time, if there is a person and you think and the person mentions, oh, I go to yoga, you can say, oh, I'm actually a yoga teacher on Saturdays, and there is a connection. So sometimes you use it not immediately in your value proposition, but rather for the connection. And I would say, I I never saw examples where your parts of your personality would do something bad for your value proposition. Yeah, it's normally beneficial. It shows you as a person, as a normal person. Yeah, that is doing business but also has cool hobbies. Yeah, or like cool side things to do. Yeah, even in my case, I'm from one side working for financial company for an energy transition industry, quite boring company actually. From another side, I'm doing some events, organizing some clubs, and people in my company, they know it. So for me, it's where we are all already not just one thing, and more the world is developing, more we will offer several things. And yeah, ideally we find the connection in the story. Sometimes it would be difficult if you're like working in the kindergarten and then you're a teen engineer, but it shows you as a very like interesting, diverse personality to collaborate with. Yeah, that's why for me it's only beneficial. All right, then I would suggest if you want to spend some time a little bit networking, I think we can be here 20 more minutes for sure. And yeah, then happy to connect, to talk, and thank you for coming. You were really active and good audience to work with. Thank you very much.